a very vulnerable thing to talk about, right? And almost if you talk about it too much, that people are gonna start diminishing your value, right? I find I tend to overshare, right? Every time I do a comics project on Kickstarter, I do my postmortem and I share everything. I share it down to the dollar where I overspent, how much I lost in a lot of cases, right? I share all of it. And it's always shocking to everyone. But you're still here. I didn't steer you
Mhm.
away. I know people are always concerned about if I tell people I failed, they're going to think I'm a failure and they'll stop supporting me. I've seen the opposite. I find that the more transparent you are, the more you say, look, I aimed for this. I undershot it, but this is how I'm going to adjust. This is how I'm going to do better. People really appreciate that because they're getting a view that you don't normally get or that because people are like too vulnerable or whatever to share and say, here's specifically how I failed. Here's where I went wrong. Here's what went well. Here's whatever. And then we just an open book and say, look, you can copy this.
Mhm.
Why? Because we're still going to do it differently anyway at the end of the day. But I found that seems to be a huge value to people for that reason, because it doesn't, the conversation's never had, right? Like it's usually, you just see them, again, talking about like crowdfunding and stuff, see how much they made. You're like, wow, they made 5 figures. They made 6 figures. They made whatever. You're like, wow, they're doing so well. And
Mhm.
they realize, no, they doubled the spend on that, or a lot of it was advertised.
Mhm.
So you could kiss half of that goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that stops people from ever getting started because they think I'll never hit those heights.
Mhm.
Like, you guys are almost in the same place. They're just putting more into it or whatever. Right. So yeah. So that's what led me to be a lot more open with all that stuff. Because I find if
Of course, yeah.
you don't share, you don't learn. Right.
Mhm.